You know, Alex, I spent 3 hours yesterday looking for a 10 millimeter socket that was, I kid you not, literally sitting inside the pocket of the apron I was wearing. If we could harvest the energy I waste on self sabotage, we could power a small city.
At least you found it. Most of yours end up in that black hole under your cabinet where the spiders and lost dreams live. But hey, it matches the theme of today's show. We're moving from the chaos of the shop floor to some high-tech solutions that might actually make us look like we know what we're doing. It's May 12th, 2026, and we are talking welding, the business of making, and some high-voltage career talk.
Yeah, and we're starting with the heavy hitters. You ever feel like your welder is basically a giant heavy anchor that requires a pack mule to move across the shop? Forney just dropped this X series, and it's like they finally realized those of us with bad backs want to weld things too. It's incredibly light, but it's got that oomph you usually only get from a machine that takes two guys to lift.
Is it actually powerful enough for real work, though? Or is this one of those it's great for garden art situations where the weld looks like a row of chewed bubblegum?
No, it's got teeth. I've seen it bite through quarter-inch plate like it was nothing. But the one that really gets my gears turning is Mid-Atlantic's new teammate. It's a 200 kVA spot welder.
200 kVA? That sounds like something that would dim the lights in the entire neighborhood if you pulled the trigger.
It's a beast. Most spot welders have these short little arms. They're like a T-Rex trying to clap. You can't reach the middle of a large panel. This thing has the reach of a professional basketball player. If you're building large-scale enclosures or heavy-duty assembly stuff, it fixes that specific headache of, how do I get the electrodes to the center of the sheet without bending the metal or my pride?
Speaking of headaches, welding fumes. I love the smell of ozone in the morning, but my lungs definitely don't.
Don't tell the old timers, but breathing in those clouds isn't exactly a health tonic. Netterman put out this GoMax extractor. What's smart about it is the dual workstation setup. You can have one hose on your manual station where you're working by hand, and another hose sucking the smoke off your cobot, your robotic welder, at the same time. It's about keeping the shop air from looking like a Victorian alleyway.
I'm glad you mentioned the robot because there's this weird tension right now, right? People are worried about automation, but if the robot is doing the smoky, repetitive work while I'm doing the fine-tuning, I'm okay with that.
It's a partnership. The machine doesn't have the eye for when a bead needs a little more heat because the metal is acting fussy. That's where the human comes in.
Speaking of staying sharp, we have to talk about the green wave. It's 2026, and the legal landscape for marijuana has shifted practically everywhere. But if you're an electrician or an apprentice, it's not as simple as following the state law, is it?
It's a real tightrope walk. Look, I'm not here to tell anyone how to live their life when the clock stops, but the reality of the trades, especially electrical work, is that the margins for error are thinner than a sheet of sandpaper. You're working with high voltage systems that don't give you a second chance.
And the data is backing that up. The APA has been looking at how it affects cognitive focus. Even if it's legal, most unions and high-level contractors have a zero-tolerance policy. If there's an accident and you test positive, your career doesn't just hit a speed bump. It hits a brick wall.
Exactly. Your certification is your currency. I've seen guys lose 20 years of seniority because they thought the rules didn't apply to them on their off hours. In this industry, being crystal clear isn't just about the prints, it's about your head. If the lights go out because you were a second slow to react, that's on you forever.
Let's shift gears to something a little more profitable. The handmade market. We're looking at a $3 trillion industry by 2034. That is an insane amount of money for people making stuff in their garages.
It's a gold rush for the soul, Alex. But I see so many talented makers working themselves into an early grave because they can't price their work. They're basically paying people to take their projects.
Give us the TigerDen formula. How do people stop being starving artists and start being maker moguls?
You have to be ruthless with the math. Stop guessing. First, every scrap of material, even the glue, the sandpaper, and the electricity to run the shop has to be tallied. Then you calculate your labor. And here's where everyone fails. They pay themselves $5 an hour. You need to pay yourself what a pro makes.
And then there's the overhead, right? The boring stuff?
Rent, insurance, the cost of replacing your blades, add that all up, and then you apply the multiplier. If you're selling to a shop, you multiply that total by 2. If you're selling directly to a customer, you multiply by 3.
People are going to hear that 3x and freak out. They'll say, nobody will pay $500 for a cutting board.
Well, then don't sell to the people looking for a $10 plastic slab at a big box store. You aren't selling a utility, you're selling a story and a legacy. If you don't value your time, why should your customer? If Etsy takes a 7% cut, you need to have that already baked into the price so it isn't coming out of your grocery money.
Okay, let's talk projects. I know you're a big fan of the river table look, even if it's been done a million times. But you found a way to make it manageable?
I love the aesthetic, but I don't always have the space for a 10-foot dining table. So I've been obsessed with these river style fly fishing boxes. It's perfect. You take some walnut scraps that are too small for anything else, add a little epoxy river down the middle, and you've got a piece of functional art. It's a great way to practice resin casting without risking $500 worth of materials.
It's like a snack-sized project. Speaking of satisfying, I saw that no-edit CNC video you were raving about.
Oh man, it's the most honest thing on the internet. Usually, CNC videos make it look like you just push a button and magic happens. This video showed everything. The weird noise the bit made when it hit a knot, the 5 minutes of sanding at the end that usually gets edited out. It's a reality check for anyone wanting to get into automation.
It's the Instagram versus reality of woodworking.
Exactly. And for the folks who really want to flex their muscles, there's this project out of Brooklyn using steel frames and IPE wood for small backyard renovations. It's the perfect marriage of what we do here. You've got the precision of welding a frame to fit a tiny urban space and the finesse of working with a wood that's basically as hard as a rock.
It's about building things that last longer than we do, whether it's a tiny fly box or a massive steel deck.
That's the heart of it. We build things to prove we were here, and hopefully we don't set the shop on fire in the process.
No promises. So, what's the big takeaway for today, Tiger?
Don't let the tech intimidate you, and don't let the business side of things scare you into working for free. This craft, this life we've chosen, it's worth doing right. Whether you're upgrading your welder or finally sitting down to fix your pricing spreadsheet, just move the needle forward an inch today.
Well said. We want to hear from you guys. What are you sparked up about this week? Are you trying a new finish? Did you finally buy that plasma cutter? Head over to the comments on the TigerDen blog and let us know.
Go get your hands dirty. We'll see you in the shop.